I'm Brandon Lauthern, and I really like scary movies. We're here at Prehistoric Brewing Company in Springfield, Missouri, where you can get all your favorite spirits made here right in-house.
My name is Aaron Griffin. I do Jason Voorhees and Ghostbusters cosplays.
I'm Jason Ludlum, and I've been a Freddy Krueger cosplayer for roughly 10 years now, and of course, Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite of all horror franchises, but
I'm Gabby Ward. I'm just an all-around big fan of horror. I'm a special effects makeup artist, specialized in haunted houses and horror attractions.
Name's Sean Parker. I'm a horror writer. I'm probably best well known for my character Jack the Bloody Ripper in Dungeons of Doom, and hosting Grave Tales as Mr. Rick Disgrace, the serial killing cannibal clown. My favorite movie is The Thing.
I like The Thing. The Thing is one of the best horror movies of all time. I'm Eddie Warren. I'm one of the founding members of the Ghostbusters of the Ozarks, and I've been watching horror movies as long as people have been watching Disney movies. So, what's your favorite scary movie?
Let's talk about some movies that we've seen in ever since we did our last Fear Factory, which was 2019, which was a long time ago.
Why didn't we have a panel in 2020?
I wonder. It's wild. Anyways, we'll go down the line. Who wants to start? Aaron?
I'll start.
Okay, Aaron's starting.
This morning I watched a movie called Mercy Black, and I don't remember a thing about it. The ending was subpar.
What was it about?
It had a very Conjuring vibe to it, because they made like a demon ghost come to life, and they did some chants about Mercy Black having spiders in her soul. I'm not lying, I don't remember anything about that movie.
Were you already hungover for that movie?
Yes, I was.
Makes sense.
Thanks to Prehistoric.
Get some growlers. Yeah, you did.
Good product placement.
That's right.
so I guess it's my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the last ones I've seen was the Babysitter sequel, which is horror comedy technically. The Babysitter Killer Queen. That's a sequel to The Babysitter, of course, and I actually liked it. If you look at both movies as like a whole thing, I loved it. As a movie in itself, it was a little below par to the previous movie.
It was very self-aware from what I remember.
Yeah, it was, and it had, you know, the characters were all funny and the kills were all great, and McGee is like an awesome stylistic director, but the big hole in it was the Samara Weaving hole. She was barely in the movie, and she's kind of an anchor of the franchise. Mm-hmm. So she was, you know, that'd be my main complaint, if there was not enough of her.
They used her in the trailer to bait people into watching the movie, and she was only on for, like, spoiler alert, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but altogether, the franchise is great. It was a little less satisfying than the first movie.
I'm going to kind of trail off from movies. I'm going to talk about some TV shows that I watched, and there was 2 Netflix ones that I really enjoyed. One more, a little more than the other. It was Two Sentence Horror Stories, which is a Netflix TV series, and there's quite a few episodes in there. And I was always a big fan of the 2 sentence horror stories, like they used to have them on Reddit and that sort of thing. I loved them. And so they're basically making those stories into full-fledged episodes.
Only 23-minute episodes.
Well, yeah,
they're not like
full-fledged.
They're still maintaining a short story.
Exactly, and it's like short films is what it is, and they each have their own little take of things, and I really enjoy those. But I really loved Netflix's Haunted series, which is like true horror stories told by people that have had horrific things happen to them, whether it's haunted house or just scary things that happened to them as kids, and it's really well done. Like they have the actual people and telling the story, and then they have an actor's interpretation. Wonderful special effects, wonderful acting. I mean, I was really happy with what they had done. Again, with
It's been such a long time since we did this. There's so much. Right?
I know.
It's hard to pick.
And do a lot.
Yeah, right. I mean, life itself has been a horror movie at times. We did our last panel so long ago. There's been so much streaming stuff. I mean, like you said, the TV shows are fantastic. The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Fantastic stuff. The American Horror Story, 1984. Have you guys seen that?
So
one?
fun.
I have not seen it.
It's so fun. It's
Blind Manor was in that same span.
Blind Manor was in that same span, guys.
Yeah.
The most recent movie I watched was Brahms, The Boy 2.
Oh God, I hated that movie.
Hated the second one? Okay.
I hated that. Okay.
So here's my take on it. The first one had some weak spots.
Yeah.
And I wanted really, really bad for the doll to be the bad guy. And then,
So you're
spoiler,
satisfied.
the second one actually satisfied that. The doll is the bad guy.
Yeah, but how
Seems
does
to
that
me
work?
that ruined
You gotta watch the
movie.
second movie.
How could that work?
So basically, they tell a tale, and again, spoiler alert, they tell a tale that all along and for generations, this doll has been making people like the guy in the walls do what they do.
So the doll was really the evil force.
The doll-
Somebody had warned me not to watch it. Because I watched The Boy, and me and my wife Robin actually enjoyed it.
I like that.
The twist at the end.
Have you guys all seen it?
Not the second one, no.
It's worth a watch. And the first one, there were so many moments where I'm like, there's no way he popped in, turned his doll.
Right, like how that. Yeah.
And so the whole time I'm trying to suspend my disbelief, but the second movie was like,
really that sneaky
bad
first movie. I get
Yeah.
you.
So I was like, okay, all right, cool, that was neat. And there was a bit of a twist in it. And there were some tense moments, again, pertaining to children. You know, a lot of times they would get you.
When that bully kid got like shit rocked. Oh, I was like, yeah! Oh, get down!
They're playing croquet and it goes terribly wrong.
Oh,
So this kid
delicious.
was, he was a bully.
He deserved it.
He totally deserved it.
He deserved
It was bad. It's that old trope in movies where they take the asshole and
Right.
Gary dies and almost just like, yeah.
Like cheering. I cheered at the screen for that.
That small child got impaled. Yeah, there was a moment,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
this
they
coming
played it
too.
pretty well. So there's just been so much. It's hard to.
Yeah.
Child mutilation in movies make me happy. It's deserved. It's deserved.
Pet Cemetery?
Pet Cemetery? No, not so much. as Pet Cemetery.
We talked about that.
That's fair. How that messed me up.
Yeah, we won't go down that alley.
That movie messed
Or
me
that
up.
road.
I was a father. Yeah, nice.
Road. We won't get road?
Yeah, no problem.
The road.
But, my turn.
Yeah.
So, I'm reticent to say that it's a horror movie or not, but a movie that really had a big impact on me in 2020 was a movie called The Platform. Have I seen The Platform? On Netflix, fantastic bottom movie. So the premise is, this guy wakes up and he is in this tower called the Pit. He has a roommate with him, and there are several levels to this tower. At the very top, there's a platform that slowly descends that is filled with all this decadent food. Cakes, you've got steak, you've got escargot, all these delicious things, right? As it goes down, people eat from this platform. But as it goes lower and lower, there's less food on it, till the point that there is absolutely no food towards the bottom levels. Every month, they gas you and reshuffle you to a different level. So you might start off at level 10, and you've got all of this great food, and then they gas you and wake up, and you're at level 200, and just scraps come down. And the entire thing is like one big social experiment to see how people interact with each other in these situations. And it's to me, it was a very compelling movie. It was one of the few movies that stuck with me for a while, and I felt myself thinking back on and analyzing. And then you kind of have that self-insertion fantasy where you're like, well, if I was in there, I would do this, this, and this. But then you think back, you're like, well, wait a minute, if I was actually in that situation. Spoiler alert, several times in the movie, the main character has to resort to cannibalism because he gets put down on lower levels where there's no food, meaning he has to kill his cellmates. And there's some really rough choices that have to be made.
Where can we watch them?
Netflix. I would highly recommend that movie and Parasite, which I almost went with as well. Another fantastic movie, very deep.
Yep.
Platform on Netflix. I'd suggest watching it.
You know what that reminds me of? The Cube. It reminds me your description reminds me of
if you like, okay, so the way that I saw it was, it is a modern Cube. If you like the Cube back in the 1990s, you should enjoy the platform, I think.
Okay.
It's a very similar concept.
Yeah.
Very Bollywood.
Hopeless situation.
Yes.
See what happens. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've recently just watched 3 movies, and I'll go through the first one real quick because it wasn't good. It was The Unholy, and it's at theaters now. And it's got great actors in it. It's got the guy who played Negan from Walking Dead as the main guy, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And it's got freaking Princess Bride, what's his name?
The guy that played Leslie?
The main guy.
Yeah.
Who is it there?
Andre the Giant.
No.
I feel like he has been in movies for
anyway,
a while.
like,
It's been in anything.
right. No, but as many great actors that were in this movie, like William Sadler was in this movie.
Elvis.
Yeah, Gary Ellis. There we go. William Sadler was in this movie, and he's the main guy from Demon Knight, and he's also the Reaper in Bill and Ted. Like, he's done great things, and he plays the main priest in this movie, and he does an amazing job. But the movie was just like it was just pop out scares.
Every time somebody opens a medicine cabinet, you're waiting for it.
Right. No, yeah, and it was
somebody's behind him.
The plot of the movie is extremely original, and it's got a really great bad guy. Like, because it's basically a woman that was burned at the stake during the witch hunts and stuff from one tree in the middle of town, and her name happened to be Mary, so she fakes being the Virgin Mary to convince this religious girl to do her bidding. And so it's a really great story hookup, but when you're wanting the suspenseful stuff, there's certain moments where the image of the Virgin Mary is behind somebody and you can barely see it. That's when it's scary, folks. Not whenever it's like, or not when they pull the face off and like the person contortions. Like, I hate movies now. Like, stop with the contortions, folks. Like, like it was cool in the room and it was original then, but we don't need to see so come on.
That scene when he comes out of the refrigerator, guys.
No, that's different. You're not expecting that from that character.
Yeah.
This just looked like the same old. The 2 good movies I want to talk about was a movie that Amazon told me was 2021, but it was actually released in 2015, and I never knew about it. It was called The Final Girls. Have you seen this movie?
Fun movie.
Oh my goodness! Like, it was right up my alley because I'm a slasher guy, and it was teenagers sucked into an 80s slasher movie, and so it was like Pleasantville, except with horror. And it had heart too. Like, I was at the end of it, I looked at Robin and I was like, I'm okay.
There's a very empowering towards the end.
Right, and but it's such a fun movie, and you can find that on Amazon Prime or just if you're a horror fan, just buy it because it's a fun watch, and it's probably not.
What's it called again?
It's called The Final Girls.
You told me about that, and I watched the trailer, and it looked pretty amazing.
Oh, it's fun.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's fun. Aaron ended up watching it with me too.
It's a great. All the old horror movie tropes are in it. It's fantastic. It's hilarious.
It's self-aware, but not over your head self-aware.
Well, I mean, the title is even.
Yeah.
It's a trope. The final girl.
It's always the final girl.
The best movie that I have seen from quarantine on, like I'm a Bubba Hotep fan. Like this one is right down that alley, and it's called PG Psycho Gorman. If you haven't seen it, it's a low budget. No, it's a low budget film. This god from another planet gets re-energized on Earth and has nothing on his mind except to terminate and kill everybody in the goriest way possible. Psycho Gorman. That's what the little girl gives him as far as the name, and it is beautiful. Like I don't want to give too much away. She ends up holding a rock that controls him. So before he can kill her, he's like, uh-oh, and
that's cool.
Yeah, so the girl...
So the little girl
having
control over the Psycho Gorman.
Right. So it's basically E.T. the extraterrestrial, but if it was like a giant buff alien that liked to just dismember her constantly. It's one of the goriest things I've seen in a while, but it's so much fun.
So it's kind of like if Lilo and Stitch went the way it probably went.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, please check it out. It is so much fun. Aaron described it as like a horror Power Rangers.
Yeah, the fighting is really Power Rangers.
It's awful.
It's great though.
No, but
Right.
there eventually becomes characters in suits that just want to fight each other.
Yeah.
And imagine if Power Rangers was just all really gory.
So instead of sparks and fireworks going off,
There's no leotards. Like imagine all of the bad guys in Power Rangers. If all the bad guys got together and fought.
We're talking about Psycho Gorman. It's not even he just kills you to kill you. He can put you into eternal torment, and you won't die until someone kills you.
That's another one that I saw the trailer to. I haven't seen the movie, but it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like I like how in the trailer it is like he's so serious about whatever the murder and the killing and everything, but it's all done in like a playful way. It's kind of it looks like
murder.
Yeah.
The little girl.
Playful
we have fun. We have fun with
The little girl tells him to stay put at one particular point and brings him Sports Illustrated type magazines, and she's just like, sorry, all I had for you was hunky boys. and Psycho Gorman goes, I don't care for hunky boys. But then he looks at the magazine and goes, or do I?
Is it like a horror comedy?
Very much.
Okay,
Very much.
I can dig it too. I've got a question for you guys.
Yes.
If you could go back in time and work on any horror movie that you've ever seen, what would you like to have worked on as far as a special effects artist?
That'd be Jason X.
There's some cool kills in that.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Honestly, I would have loved to work on The Thing.
Yeah.
Just because there's so much to work with. There's a lot to, any of them, honestly. Because I want to say my favorite horror films, but there's not a lot in there when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Sometimes what scares you is not what you're good at.
Yeah.
Because if you're so deeply into your hands are dirty up to the elbows with makeup effects and things like that, or even set preparation or props or costumes, you look at that in such a realistic way that's not what's scared to you. And I always like to bring up and I maybe even said this the last time we had a panel, but the movie Blair Witch did not scare me at all. Yeah. It didn't scare me at all. It was made for city kids. I grew up in the forest.
Yeah.
So you're used to that.
It was so dumb. I'm like, why are you city kids so scared of the forest? But I mean, I think it's like that. I think that almost applies to your makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
That's not what scares you because that's where you're
That's your
comfort zone.
I'm definitely a psychological horror,
Yeah.
and the more I do that, the more I realize that I love the mystery and I love the surprise endings and that sort of thing. That's my favorite part of horror. It's not always the gore or the slasher. It's like the realism of this could really happen, or how effed up is this?
That's what I think makes Lovecraft such compelling horror. It's not what you understand, it's what you don't understand. There are these unexplainable forces in the universe that exist, and you cannot comprehend it as a human being.
Yeah.
That's where the terror comes from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I'm a costumes and props guy, and so what I've really gotten into lately, and I realize I've always been into it, but lately I've started noticing I'm into it, is cinematography. As early as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, every shot is a little crooked.
Yeah.
And it's a little bumpy in a way that it didn't have to be, but they did it.
It's
Every shot,
unsettling.
It's unsettling. When you're sitting in a chair with one leg shorter than the other three, you'll go to another chair because as humans, that's this is off. Right?
That's a great analogy for that.
And so for me, it's the way it's shot makes so much more of even the props. You know, I'm looking for props. I'm looking for craftsmanship and sets and things like that. And man, you can shoot a crappy set in a way that makes it so scary.
Right.
Just with how you shoot.
Well, Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, that's people reference that one as the reason why they got into filmmaking, because he goes over the top boards and like it's Citizen Kane of the horror movies.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have a friend that told me that he has like a really big television in his house, right? But he prefers to watch horror movies on itty-bitty television in his room because the claustrophobia, and it makes sense.
That's
the
so
claustrophobia of having to really focus in on that small
Yeah.
cube helps add to the tension.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I've got a question for the cosplayers on the end. I know that you both have scared the living crap out of a lot of people at these conventions.
Yeah.
What was each of your favorite time scaring a con goer?
Aaron?
It wasn't at a convention, just walking around the Dungeons of Doom. Because I walk around outside where people don't expect Jason Voorhees to be, they expect him inside. Like walking around corners and people usually looking at the middle of my chest. Look up and like, sweet Christ.
This is a big freaking dude.
Yeah,
he's
he's
taller
big.
than me, and I'm a pretty tall guy myself. So he's intimidating whenever you come across him in the dark hallway wearing that gear.
Yeah, his heads are over us, but he's leaning on the wall. Right.
I've got a lot of good stories, but not very many of them involve like super scares. I do Freddy Krueger, and
That's not true.
Well-
Like, no, you want to know what my favorite one was?
okay, tell me.
Like, I want you to tell your story.
Okay.
But it involves this guy's twins.
Okay.
What con was it? It was like a Collecticon or something weird like that. The Ghostbusters made a haunted room, which was basically just strobe lights and fog, and we didn't
It
have
was
it.
a game, wasn't it?
It might have been gay.
It was a game.
It was at the Expo Center. But anyway, we had this room just full of like black sheeting and fog and strobe lights. Like anybody that went in there, they're expecting something to scare them, and there was nothing in that room until this guy showed up. And his twins at the time were, oh my goodness.
They were like 12, 13.
Yeah, they were on the verge of becoming teenagers, and I planted him in the room first, and I just like go hide in that room, and I told the twins, it's like, oh, there's nothing in there.
It's just fun. It's just fun.
That's great.
Yeah, I remember that. And that was a good one. And I think you sent a couple other people in there as well. I stayed in there for a good half hour.
You were there for a long time, man.
Yeah. What I recall most about some of the cons I've been to is the little kids, man. I mean, like the little kids that love Freddy, you know, they come running up and want hugs and stuff, you know, and I'm like, what? You know, how do you know? You know,
I'll stab you.
yeah.
But that's the way I was though, dude. If I would have been, there was no cons in southern Arizona next to the Mexico border.
Yeah.
Like, if I would have seen a Freddy, I would have ran up and gave you a hug as well.
Well, actually, in like a funny story, one time I was doing like a photo shoot here in town, and we it was around Halloween time. We went to Spirit Halloween, the one that was at the mall, and I decided, well, I got the costume, I'll just walk into Spirit Halloween full Fred. And I walk in, and I no sooner get in the door, and these two little girls come like running up to me, like, Fred! And they like grab me and like they like hug me, and I'm like, there's like no adults in sight. And then like all of a sudden,
Liability.
yeah.
And then Chris Hansen walks up and is like, "Why is it?"
Yeah. All of a sudden, their parents, man, come walking up, and they're like, "Hey, we want to take a picture, man." And they like, all right, cool. Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Freddy line that you use when you're in character? Or do you have just in general, what's your favorite Freddy line?
I kind of like you were all my children. That's kind of my favorite.
I can do.
You are all my children.
That's
That's
good.
one of my best.
Welcome to my world.
I like
That was an ad-lib movie.
Yeah.
Welcome to Prime Time.
I think so.
it was
Yeah.
My favorite one.
So there's cosplayers, but maybe it's just me wanting to talk about hot stuff, but with Sean
Would you like to talk
we want to talk about hot stuff. Just maybe one of our favorite stories.
Okay, so I love scaring people as Jack the Ripper, clearly, especially whenever I knock them on their ass with a scare. You don't even have to touch them. You just pop around the corner and like, "Oh, this is bad, you bloody intestines!" and fall over. You feel like a goddamn god, right?
I just shat myself.
I can smell it. It's delicious. But one of my favorite moments from last season was a guy trying not to get scared. And whenever I encounter those people, I'm like, oh, this guy's trying to be the wannabe tough guy for haunted house. And so, if I don't scare him, I humiliate him. Guy and a girl come in. The girl's all like cringy. She's like, oh my god, what's that? Oh my god, what's that? So I end up popping out, doing my first scare. Welcome to watch that Jack the Ripper. I'm gonna get acquainted with your insides. The guy's just like not having it. He's like trying to be all tough in front of this girl. So I come up to the girl and I pull up my knife. And I go, I'm gonna put my blade up inside of you and get acquainted with your insides. Really acquainted with your insides. And so she giggles and she goes, oh, well, he hasn't even done that yet. And I'm like, target acquired, okay, here we go. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'll finish what he couldn't. And he gets so butthurt. Oh my god, that wasn't funny. That wasn't funny. I didn't think that was good. That was inappropriate. She's like, she's just being funny. And I felt like following up. It's like, oh, you could always stay back here with Jack and I'll seal the deal with you. And then she but no.
So she got an application before
I'm pretty good at getting girls in the door. Anyway, she ended up walking off. I could hear that guy still bitching about. I'm like, oh well. I wanted to scream out behind him. Well, you're definitely not going to get eaten tonight with that sort of attitude, mate.
Worst first date ever.
It was rough. It was rough. One of my favorite moments from last season.
I have one. So definitely with haunted houses, you have different ways of scaring different people because different people react in different ways, right? And if, my motto is usually if you can't scare them or you can't make them laugh, you gotta humiliate them, right? Or one of them and make everybody else laugh. That's usually how you do it. I worked up at a haunted house in Pennsylvania when I was at school. It's called 100 Acre Manor. And what I did was I was in charge of a whole themed area, and I would make sure all the actors were safe, and I would circle around and scare and pop up areas and that sort of thing, and if they needed a break, I would take their spot, blah, blah, blah. So the area that I had was like a Halloween themed. So I had a couple different characters. I had a clown character that I did. Clowns are scary to most people, And this was, I guess, 2 years ago. This was 2019, before I graduated. And, we get all kinds of people, but kids can be really a pain in the butt sometimes.
Oh, man.
Or they're like 12-year-olds, they think they're all tough. They're like,
really
ooh, what's going
scared.
on? I'm going to get scared.
Yeah,
And they start dancing or whatever, what the kids do.
I don't know how many times I've had a kid dab.
Oh, absolutely. And we're just like, please go home, child.
They're afraid, so they don't know how to deal with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so one of the best scares I ever got was it was a pop-out bar. And it was a clown room, it was a clown hallway, and there was a fake door, and I would pop my head in, and I'd just whatever I could do at the time. Thank you. I practiced.
Just a little bit.
I had seen them come in I had seen them come in, and there was about 4 or 5 of these 12-year-old boys, and some of them were hyping each other up, and earlier they were trying to flirt with one of the girls that was a zombie or something, and I was like, gross. And I popped my head through the door, and one of the boys, I've never heard such a loud and high-pitched scream in my entire life, but he knocks back, pulls back, and punches me in the face so hard that it knocks me to the ground, and I have a bloody nose and shit. And I was like, ooh, that was good. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get him again. I go around the corner, there's another spot, and I get him again. He's crying, he's bawling. And I hadn't realized it at the time, but I had received a concussion from that hit. I had rattled my head in the back, but I was so on that high of just like scaring
The adrenaline.
and it wasn't until a little bit later when I couldn't coherently like speak, and they were like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "You're going to the hospital." But it was a terrible experience, but that was one of the best scares because I've never made somebody ball up and cry when they were just making fun of me. It was wonderful.
Oh, whenever you get a turnaround, you counter them, they're trying to act like they're all tough, and then you get them to drop to the floor or tap out the entire monster. Oh, it's such a satisfying feeling.
Great.
All right, we're gonna end this with a game, and it's called I Have Never. And we're basically going to go down the line, and you're either going to say a horror movie you have never seen that other people would be surprised about, or I have never liked this movie.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So
I start with that in, so I have time to
I'll
think
start.
about it.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't like Poltergeist.
Oh, you bastard.
Got him.
Yeah. So you have never liked Poltergeist?
No, I've never liked it.
No.
I've watched it several times, I just don't like it.
I mean, it is kind of tame. I mean, you have for a horror movie,
You have to at least justify why.
but yeah.
I think he was on his phone.
It was my
for most of
understanding
that
there'd be no
movie.
explanations.
It's hard because I usually just erase all the horror movies.
I know that I don't like. Yeah, I just kind of get liked.
All right, so am I up?
Yes.
Okay, well, this one's going to surprise everybody. I have never seen The Shining.
Oh,
Wait, what?
And it's not that I don't want to. I mean, I want
You
to.
have never seen the show?
I've just never gotten around to seeing The Shining. I don't know. I can't explain it. But I will see it one day. And I keep saying that, but then I never do.
I gotta watch that movie once in a while.
Yeah.
This is a sin for me going to Tom Savini schools for special effects.
Counts.
I have never seen the Dawn series.
Oh, like Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. I've never seen anything other than the first Evil Dead.
Oh man,
I have never seen Carrie. I've never seen Cujo.
You've never seen Carrie?
I have never
Cujo?
But
seen.
yes,
What's the
Savini-
car one?
Tom Savini is mostly
Christine?
known for that original Dawn of the Dead.
I know,
Like-
I know. And they would talk about it all the time, and I'd just be like, yeah.
Oh, I hope
You
you
also
doesn't
didn't
see
watch
this video.
Friday the 13th until a couple years ago.
I sure didn't.
One of your students is shit talking to you, Tom.
Don't come for
You're
me.
gonna come out with your cock gun.
No, yeah, you know that awesome scene where the dude is pulled apart and you just see all the guts and stuff?
Those were real guts, weren't
in
they?
the mall? Well, Gabby hasn't seen it.
I don't, yeah.
Oh, you don't know about
I
the...
don't.
Do you know the backstory behind that? That it was like real animal parts and some of the actors were actually eating it and getting botulism?
Nasty.
Yeah, there's some nastiness that went around.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of classic movies that I haven't seen just because I'm lame.
Well, we gotta
you're
get you
young.
I know,
covered.
and I'm young.
You host a horror panel.
I know.
And you haven't seen Cujo or the original
Just
Dawn?
saying.
She's also
I
like
started
the
with video
youngest
games. I'll also
right?
admit that. I started with video
I
games
saw a lot of horror movies by the time
before I
was her
did
age.
books or movies. So, anyways.
Gosh, this is so hard.
It is,
There's
man.
so many. I'm with Sean here that I don't remember movies I don't like. I tend to kind of shut them out of my memory. It's they're protecting my psyche or something from bad films.
Is there a movie you haven't seen?
A movie I haven't seen. There's a lot of movies I haven't seen. What was it? The other day, my girls had seen a movie and they were shocked that I hadn't seen it. I think it was Insidious. That they were watching it for like the fourth time. I'm like, I've never seen that movie. And it seemed like something that I probably would
It's,
like.
yeah, it's definitely
It's
our
just,
generation. Like
yeah.
Insidious and Conjuring. Is
I love the Conjuring universe. I love that. I've seen all of them, and on the La Llorona.
You've never seen any of the Insidious?
Dollar, you loved La Llorona? You did?
I liked
I hated it.
I liked it.
What are we talking
hated
about?
La Llorona. It had no real representation. The story was off.
The story was off.
Oh, yeah.
But it had some really creepy moments in it. And
You know that there's actually two
Yeah, there's a good one and then there's a bad one.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Bad.
It's in the Conjuring universe. But
Yeah.
it's one of the Warrens, the case they didn't take, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take all my cases, thank you.
Yeah, the other ones.
Six packs?
No, I just Pepsi.
By that you mean
Sure, that's true, that's true.
It breaks down the boxes.
Alright, I guess it's my turn. I didn't think The Exorcist was particularly scary, and I saw it whenever I was like preteen. So if I was going to get scared by anything, that would have been the time to spook me. So as a kid, I kept on being told, oh no, this movie's like so hardcore, people are having to have barf bags and like leaving the theaters. So I ended up finally snagging a copy and watching it downstairs whenever my mom was asleep, because at the time, I wasn't supposed to watch horror movies. Like even Rocky Horror Picture Show was considered just a little too raunchy for me. And so I saw The Exorcist, and I was just like, meh. You know, there's some cool effects in it, the torture stuff, whatever her like vising all those like cuts across it. Fun.
Man, I was the opposite. Like I can watch The Exorcist, no big deal during the day, and then I would be I would be flipping through, you know, TNT, TBS, or whatever, be like The Exorcist. I'd be like, this is cool, and then be like, I'm the devil, and I'd be like, no,
Your mother's in here with us.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a different experience, you know. I should watch it when I'm really tripping on acid or shrooms.
Like
or
you
something.
talk about cinematography though, The Exorcist is.
I do like how there were like faces. Apparently that was like a real Satanist that they used for like the scenes where you saw what's on the side of the refrigerator. That's fun, and you miss some of those little treats in The Exorcist until you watch the movie again. Because I mean, they literally like. You remember in Fight Club what they're talking about, juxtaposing those like little scenes or
The porn scenes,
Yeah.
clips, yeah.
I mean, there are some times I'll be like, oh crap, I didn't catch that the first time. I must have blinked or been looking
You
away.
know, The Haunting of Hill House took that idea
Yeah,
and just ran with
they
it. It was
did
genius.
so good.
Well, a second or third watching of that, you see so much that
Right.
they just sprinkled in there. It's brilliant.
See, I think that's fun. But anyway, Exorcist never scared me.
Now, did you see the director's cut?
Now hold on. I saw the one where she's jacking off with the crucifix.
Okay,
That's original.
Okay.
The
The
one
one where she walked upside down.
That's strict.
I thought that was pretty creepy. Does anybody know why? That is such a good scene.
That's
Like
fine.
that is.
Runtime's the only thing like that.
And
Wow.
at the time, it wasn't as scary as what you think.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, they thought it looked.
Stupid?
Yeah.
Really? I thought that was, when I saw the director's cut of it later, I thought, you know what, maybe that would have spooked like 12-year-old Sean Parker out versus me being like, I don't know why that worked. Huh. Anyway, I wasn't that scared of The Exorcist.
I have never liked Salem's Lot.
Neither do I.
Man, I was born with Fright Night in my blood, and I think it's because I watched Fright Night first. Because the vampires are so similar in a way that, but in Salem's Lot, it takes so long to get there. It has a lot to do with Stephen King.
It's a slow.
It is so like this is one adaptation because it was a TV miniseries first before it was put onto like 2 VHSs.
Laser dish.
Right. But the entire time, like it's got like a creepy image of you. Everybody's seen it. It's very Nosferatu vampire. And if I showed you like this is the vampire, you'd be like, yeah, I've seen that around because it's on everything. But finally sitting down and watching it, and in reality, I watched it I think last year, and I was like, I'm finally gonna watch this movie. And yeah, I was bored to death, so much so that Robin and I were making fun of the movie as we were going. Once that happens, once you're doing
you're
the
making fun of the movie,
once
it
it's
gets scary,
Mystery
yeah.
Science Theater 3000,
It gets scary.
Okay.
yeah,
It's
then-
lost.
But we have to appreciate Mystery Science Theater 1000.
No, yeah.
Fantastic. But it'll ruin a horror movie for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, once you get into that cynical mindset. It's not scary.
Once you're making quips about the bad special effects or the horror aspects of it, it's not nice. You can't come back.
I mean,
from that.
I can't watch horror movies in theaters anymore because the way I cope with fear is I make fun of it.
Because we can't watch movies in theaters.
Well, that too. That doesn't count.
That's also relevant.
But like in my home, I can like make fun of it and stuff, and that helps me get through the fear.
That's your coping.
Because this is the grandparents movie that was like the granny or the whatever. It was not a good movie, but because I was in a theater and I was confined to a certain space, I was terrified. So I don't know if that has. Obviously, it's got something to do with it, but anyways.
Hey, I know something that you guys don't. And actually, I think that Jason also knows. Jason, have you ever heard the story of what's the scarecrow's name? What's his name from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
That bastard.
I think Gabby knows. Don't you know, Gabby?
Yeah, I know. What are you guys doing? I don't like this.
I asked Gabby the other day if she had ever seen the movie Scary Stories, which is well done. It is what it should be. Which
It's all the bull.
It's dark Goosebumps, and that's what it should be. Gabby will not see that movie.
I won't watch
Because of the
You
scarecrow?
haven't seen Scary Stories.
It's because when I was little, I thought I'd be a great big girl.
Harold.
Stop!
I said Harold.
And I would get those books from the book fair, and I didn't even read the stories.
Is that Harold right now?
Shut up!
Is that Harold behind you?
The pictures, and I mean that's what really did it for most people. And the only story I ever read was the scarecrow story. I had nightmares for weeks, and I already had nightmares when I was a kid. And I shoved it in a sock closet, and I never looked at it. And like years later, I was like,
Wait, you have a closet for your socks?
I had a drawer for my socks. I was nervous, stupid, painful. Anyways, I know the effects are great, but I can't get over that. Like,
Maybe would help.
Hey, okay. So, lifting on time here. Have you seen the Creep Show series?
Yes.
Did you see the Scarecrow episode?
Yes.
It was one of my favorite episodes on that.
And that gave me very nostalgia. Like I didn't like that.
So you just get geeked out by scarecrows.
That's why I played a scarecrow in the haunted house.
Did you guys ever see, what's it called, The Tall Grass? Have you seen this movie? I think that's the name of it. It's where they...
The Raptors.
No, this family pulls over and their kid wanders off into this cornfield and it's this never-ending, never-changing corn. I will look it up, guys, because I saw this.
Netflix?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, okay, I didn't see that. Yeah.
I think it's called The Tall Grass.
I think it is, yeah, it's the tall grass.
I think
Yeah.
that's over there with the group. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'll look it
You
up.
know, Dark Knight of the Scarecrow was one of the first movies to ever traumatize me as a kid.
What is this?
I've never.
Oh, you have? It was like, I believe, a TV movie from like the early 80s. Shoot, who was in it? I can't think of the guy's name. The guy that played Dr. Giggles.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, the actor.
Larry something.
He was in Dark and Tall Grass.
Yeah. He was in it. But anyway, yeah. I don't remember much about it, all in all. But I remember the Scarecrow really just scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, and I had nightmares for a long time after that.
You know, as a kid, I lived amongst cornfields. And I was always disappointed there were no scarecrows. Real farmers don't actually use scarecrows. It's sad. Big thanks to Dungeons & Doom, Metallica, and Prehistoric Brewing for hosting our little panel here. Guys, I hope you're enjoying virtual Visioncon. We hope to see you all really soon in person. Everybody's pretty stoked for that. We've got to get back to some kind of normal. Just on our way out, we'd like to say that if you guys would like to like, subscribe down below, and tell us what your favorite and least favorite horror films are. What did scare you? What didn't scare you?
Thank you. Bye.